This is back item number 13. How to resolve a circular reference in a model. How to show you not to be afraid of a little bit of VBA, a little bit of Visual Basic for applications, not to be afraid of a macro. Here, we're going to show you just how badly an iteration button, a circular reference that's solved with an iteration button, is so bad it destroys a model. Copy paste is worse. Making a UDF, user-defined function that solves all of this, is very, very easy. We start with a very, very simple model, just with some earnings, some interest, some cash flow. And the interest is not from the beginning balance of the debt, it's the average balance of the debt. There's a circular reference, because if you change the cash flow, the interest affects the cash flow, but the cash flow affects the debt, which affects the interest. Making a UDF, it just has to start with you're going to start at the back with interest, which was what's causing you the circular reference, and then you're going to work through the Excel equations and get back to where you started. Let's show you a file named Corporate Modeling Exercise that you'll find on the disk. You'll find it in the backpack section of the videos. Okay, you can make it yourself. There's a little bit of cash flow, no depreciation or capex. I'm really worried about. Then there's some sensitivity. So if we change the sensitivity to 120, obviously the cash flow changes. Okay, and then we have a debt balance, and the debt balance. Here's the problem: the cash flow from the debt balance comes from the cash flow statement. Just like any other debt balance, we take the opening balance minus the cash flow, or starting on the cash flow. And then we'll make the interest expense, the interest rate, F4 times the average of the opening and the closing balance of the debt. Okay? And we have a circular reference already. Shift Control R. And then eventually we're going to say, well, I want this debt balance at the very end to be equal to 0, and I want to see how much cash flow do I need, what's my sensitivity case to get my cash flow to be equal to the 0. There, that's it. Now if you go to File, Options, Formulas, Calculation, and put the iteration button in, it looks like it works. Okay? It doesn't really though, because when we make our goal seek, when we go to Data, What If Analysis, and Goal Seek, and try to set this difference to 0 by changing the input, it gives us a circular reference, and it goes around and around, and a whole bunch of other things in the model get destroyed. I've talked about that elsewhere. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take this iteration button off now, leave the circular reference, and then we're going to make UDF, user-defined function. Alternate an F8 to get our new thing, and I'm going to put UDF interest. Okay, and then just below that, I'm going to make a function called interest. And in that function, I've got to spell things a little more carefully, but interest has to be defined. And that's going to be the average balance times the interest rate. And what that means is we have to read in the interest rate. And then we go, and the next one, we need the average balance. I should have maybe not spelled it out so long. It's the opening, okay, and then we put in the opening here, and then we say, well, the we still need the cash flow. The cash flow is equal to the EBIT minus the interest, which is below, which means we need the EBIT. And then we make a little loop. And then you can make a really fancy loop that iterates and does a bunch of other things. But I just want to show you this in really just a few little lines. How easy this is. Okay, and now we've got our function, and then we go to our function and we put, hopefully I didn't spell anything wrong, we put equal interest. Finally. And then our interest, we press Shift F3. Our interest is the interest rate. I'll press the F4 on this one. And it's affected by the opening balance. And it's affected by the opening balance. I thought that E8 was like a thing. Okay. And then Shift Control R. And we have it. And then we can do our goal seek. We can do our data what-if analysis goal seek, and we can see, well, what's the, how do we set this to be 0 by changing the sensitivity factor. And we've got our whole thing done, and it all works, and it's all fixed. And that's how easy it is to make one.